I am joined right now by a man you have known in the past as Big Cass, Cass XL. He's making a new name for himself. You see him on Impact Wrestling Weekly. Morrissey. He's going to be facing off with Willie Mack this weekend at Impact's Under Siege special on Impact Plus. We're going to get into his Impact debut, his beef with Willie Mack, tons of stuff to talk about. First and foremost, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing?
Very good. I want to start by saying it's good to see you back on TV. You look great. You seem like you're doing well. What made Impact the right spot for you?
Impact was the right spot for me because they gave me an opportunity, and that's really all I was asking for coming back. Luke Gallows, or he gave me an opportunity on a show, and I took that and ran with it. And then Impact, they gave me an opportunity, so they took a chance on me. I'm going to make sure that risk that they took on me pays off big time. So I really like that product. I like the talent there. I think that they have an incredibly talented roster on both sides, and I really like the television product, like I said. So when they gave me an opportunity, I said, yeah, this is definitely something I want to try.
As I just mentioned, one of the names you're getting to work with, Willie Mack, it was kind of hinted at in one of the promos he did with Gia Miller backstage. There's some animosity that you showed towards him in the 8-man tag, your official debut for the company. What is your issue with him?
There's nothing truly personal against the guy. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong guy. I came back and I was, in a bad mood, and I'm looking to take out a lot of my frustrations and, quite frankly, a lot of my resentments from my past in the wrestling industry on the people in the wrestling industry. And he just so happened to be across from the ring from me at Rebellion on that night, and he happened to just piss me off. So it was nothing personal against him. It could have been any one of those 4 guys on the other side, but he irritated me in a match, and, I'm looking to take out my frustrations on him, and I'll take my frustrations out on everybody if I have to, but it's going to start with him.
I did notice that, looking at the roster, it's a completely different one than you're used to working with, aside from Gallows and Anderson, who you've had past history with, and you just, mentioned your personal relationship working the Lariato show. But not to look too far ahead, but is there anybody that you either want to, are you looking forward to working with? Is there anybody that, you quote unquote want to take your frustrations out on? There's so many different names that you can choose from that you haven't really worked with before.
Well, yeah, Willie Mack starts with, that's someone I want to take my frustrations out on. And I don't think anybody gets into the industry and goes into a specific company without their sights set on the top. So whether it's Kenny Omega or one of the 6 people who were in the number 1 contenders match this Saturday at Under Siege, whoever ends up being the Impact World Champion, that's someone that I have my sights set on. And whether I have to go through, 5 people to get to that person, or 2 more people, or 45 people to get to the Impact World Champion, that's where I have my sights set.
How important was it for you personally to establish yourself on your own this time? The line that you used about being known for being one half of a catchphrase was used, but how important was it for you to really establish your identity this time around, where this is very much different? It feels different, it sounds different, and it looks different than what we're used to from you in the past. So where did this, not to say it's a character, but where did this new Morrissey, this persona, come from?
Well, I think in wrestling, there's always an element of business. So I am there to do business. But I think that over the past few years, that the wrestling industry has kind of become a personal issue for me. I think there's a lot of people in wrestling that I don't like. I think there's a specific type of person in wrestling I don't like, and that seems to be people that are phony and fake, and they'll say nice things to your face, and they'll say, "Great match, man," when you come back, and then they'll talk behind your back, and they'll bury you elsewhere. And I just think that there's a lot of people that are phony, and I think a good amount of locker rooms are phony, and I just want to take out my frustrations on those people. to have people not talk to me for 2 or 3 years, and then when I come back at Rebellion, text me and say, "Man, you look great. I'm so happy for you." Well, where were you the past 3 years? Things like that. I just think there's a lot of phony people, and that's kind of where I had my sights set on people. So I think what makes it different is that it became very personal to me. I'm there to do business, but I think my issues with wrestling in general and a lot of the performers, it became very personal over the past few years.
You hear it often enough, but people talk about the most successful characters are the ones that are true to life, and I feel like this one you can use some real life events and channel that. And you're saying about how you have animosity with people, and I think it comes from a very real place. So we're seeing that translate on screen. It's believable. If anybody's followed your story over the past few years, like you know that you and recent interviews, it's coming from a real life place, like. And maybe if it's not out of turn to say that you have a chip on your shoulder coming back. But the other thing that I think people mention and you notice right away is you changed your name too. It's based off of your real life name. It seems like, is it fair to say that you wanted to brand yourself, and it feels like an old school, like, you reference business, like what went into picking the name? Because you had Kaz XL, but you came back as W Morrissey. Can you talk a little bit about what went into the decision to have a new name with the new company?
Yeah, the second I showed up at Impact, I thought of it as a new beginning. And, that anybody with Kaz XL wasn't the guy that went through what he went through the past few years. That's a performer. And like you said, the best things on screen are those that stem from real life. And William Morrissey, and W Morrissey for short, he's the guy that's been through all those things over the past few years. So I wanted to bring, the real me onto the stage of Impact Wrestling. Using my real name, it's real life, and I have real life animosity and, quite frankly, real life resentments towards people. So I think coming in as W Morrissey is it did rebrand me, but I do also look at it as a new beginning, a fresh start for me when I came to Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, when I first saw that, when it came up on the screen, I was like, all right, I dig this. I mean, not for nothing, my name's Bill William too, so I was like, okay, cool. Hearing you talk about it being like all about business and wanting this new identity for you, I think it all clicks. And I mean, we just talked a lot about reestablishing yourself and your goals, but what's the biggest thing you want to show that you can do skill set wise that maybe you didn't have a chance to do in the past? You were active, you were positioned as quote unquote heavy or the big guy, but now on your own, you're relying on yourself completely. So now that the 8-man tag match is out of the way, what do you really want to show people that either you never got the chance to do before, or that you've really wanted to show that maybe they haven't seen on this stage yet?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of talent in Impact Wrestling that I've never gotten a chance to even train with, let alone be in an actual match with. So there's a lot of fresh matchups there, and gonna be able to have good matches with anybody on the roster. That's something that I want to show people I can do. And also show people that I can compete with some of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. So that's my goal, and that's a goal that I know I'm going to accomplish. It's to show people, that I can go toe-to-toe with quote-unquote best performers in the world, and I can hold my own, and I could have great matches with anybody. And I think that's something that I've been given the opportunity so far to do, but I'm sure I'll have that opportunity even more so going forward.
When you first came in, I mentioned earlier, it was the 8-man tag team match. It was Violent by Design. You took Eric Young's place, and people automatically linked you to the group saying, oh, he joined the group, but we've seen you on your own. How important, like, obviously that was a great launching point for you, but how important going forward is it for you also to remain on your own? Is joining a group something that you would entertain? Would you work with them again, or do you really want to stand on your own and really show that here's the growth I want to show individually?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would work with them again, but I think it's important to know that I'm not a part of their group. And when Eric Young talked to me about the opportunity, he specifically said this is only for tonight. Yeah, I think for the near future and probably, you know, further in the future, right now it's about me. It's about W. Morrissey. It's about me as a singles and me as a single unit, you know, showing what I can do. So, you know, if the opportunity presents itself to be in another 8-man tag with Violent by Design, sure. I mean, if the opportunity is right, that'd be great. But it's really important for me to show that I'm on my own right now, and I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish as a singles competitor.
You already mentioned, you know, you're in the business to get to the top. You don't care if it's Kenny Omega, if it's any of the other guys in the 6-man match that we're going to see coming up. Is there one of those 6, like if I have to put you on the spot again, is there one that you really do want to work with because you feel like you could either help them or they could complement you?
Well, man, I mean, in terms of it obviously Kenny Omega, but if you're putting me on the spot with somebody in the 6-man match, I'd have to say the 2 that really stick out is first would be Moose, just because, you know, big man versus big man, the size similarity there. I think that would tell a really, really good story. And another person that I'm interested in working with is Sami Callihan. I think he's incredibly talented, and I think maybe at times he's been underrated and maybe hasn't been given a fair shake in other places. So Sami Callihan, somebody I'd really look forward to mixing it up with, but for also definitely Moose, just because of the you know, the big man aspect there and what he's done in wrestling and how dominant he has been. And I think that would be a really, really good matchup.
I think you could probably make the assumption that there's a lot of people on this roster that you could say didn't get a fair shake before or are underrated. Does, like, going back to your decision to come to the company, did that play into things, like feeling like, you know, you could help get Impact past being that underdog, so to speak? Because I mean, I watch every week. I don't agree with it, but there still is that stigma where it's like, okay, Impact's fighting their way up, but they have some of the biggest names in the business. They're getting free agent attention. They signed you. So is that part of what went into your decision?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of guys there that I know personally that I respect as talent. And yeah, there's guys that maybe, like you said, you know, didn't get a fair shake or are considered underrated, that I would like to work with. It's a team effort, man. So there is no one, you know, man, woman, or child that's going to walk through the door at Impact and, you know, just take the company, you know, to the top of the wrestling world. It's a team effort. And I think that the team that's in place right now at Impact is a recipe for success. There's so many incredibly talented guys and women there that that's something I definitely looked at. I was watching the product quite a bit before I signed. And yeah, I just really, really like the television product, and I really, really like the work of the people that are on the show.
Going into this, it's your 3rd match with Impact so far. The Under Siege, you can catch W. Morrissey against Willie Mack, Under Siege on Saturday, May 15th. But is there a match, like, if people haven't been following what you've been up to or maybe just aren't sure what to expect, is there a match that you would pick that best represents your work to this point, if you've had it so far?
Probably my last television match with WWE, which was with Daniel Bryan in Chicago at Money in the Bank in 2018. You know, I wasn't there with one of the best in the world, perhaps one of the best of all time, but I do think that showcased my talents more than any other match that I was in. Was the match with Daniel Bryan at Money in the Bank. That was in 2018.
There's a lot floating out around about him right now, so who knows? Maybe you'll get that chance for a rematch again. But your last match in Impact, you destroyed Sam Beal. There's no way around that on Impact 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, is that something that you would also show to people and say, you know what, this is also what I want to do to my opponents?
Yeah, I think that match with Sam Beal is more, it more reflects what I'm like nowadays. I think if you took the guy from that match with Daniel Bryan that I suggested before and, put 20 pounds of muscle on him and a really, really true to life resentment against wrestling, into that guy, that's who you have now. Someone that, I hate to use the word hatred, but it's probably the best word that I could use right now, is someone with a lot of hatred in their heart, for the wrestling industry and people in wrestling in general. And, that's something that I think is fueling me right now. So I think that match with Sam Beal is definitely more indicative of where I'm at mindset wise right now, is kind of just destroy and take no prisoners. And, there's no mercy. That's kind of the attitude I'm having going forward.
Well, I certainly wish you the best moving forward in your career. I want to say I hope that hatred goes away, but if you're using it for fuel, I feel like an apology to your future opponents is more appropriate. You can catch W. Morrissey on Impact every week, Thursdays, Access TV. He faces Willie Mack at Under Siege on May 15th. Thanks very much for your time today, and best of luck moving forward.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.